would like to call to order the May meeting of the Morrisville Planning and Zoning Board. If you will join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
No, Chairman, we do not.
I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Any changes to the minutes beyond the changes they made? I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the March meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes from the March meeting. Second?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Carries unanimously. And since everybody is here, Shushima and Rick, you're both just your alternates this week. So we can move on to 5A and Aaron Hudson's presentation. Oh, it's not.
I guess I'm the first one to ever talk into these microphones, huh?
Yeah,
And they work.
they're clean.
Right. So, good evening. My name is Nathan Lozinski, not Aaron Hudson. Last time I was in front of you, I was the fire chief. Probably about 6 months ago. I have since retired and came back to the town, working part-time with special projects, and one of them is the redo of our town strategic plan. So we have made a effort to really kind of get a lot of people involved in the redo of the strategic plan, and that really is a lot of public engagement. This is going to be relatively short and easy, but it's going to be extremely important. You have candy in front of you, and I'm going to go through all the steps, and kind of what you have is, I didn't choose the candy. If you like the candy, then I did choose it. If you don't, then Erin Hudson, who was supposed to be here, she chose it. So we're going to do a couple exercises. I'm going to go through a quick synopsis of what I'm trying to accomplish tonight, real quick overview of our current Connect Morrisville strategic plan, and then kind of where we are at the steps left to kind of finalize our next strategic plan. So probably about 2 months ago, the town communication department, our Aaron and a couple other people in the town really wanted to make a conscious effort to get out and really engage the public, every stakeholder we can think of with what they want kind of in our next strategic plan. We went to all of the advisory committees, which is why I'm here tonight. We did significant public outreach where we were at town events. We just actively were in the community looking for input. We had a very robust social media campaign. If you follow any of our social media platforms, they were on there multiple times. We had a lot of good feedback. And associated with that public outreach, we had a Unite Morrisville idea. And the Unite Morrisville was really kind of an idea of, like, in the communication world, they really kind of emphasize you have to have some sort of something you can wrap around when you do a public outreach. There's some sort of concept, there's some sort of overarching idea that how can we get everybody involved? And it really was like, we want to unite everybody. And that's kind of, as you can see from the PowerPoint, what our initiatives and what our goals were. It's really sort of to help us learn and understand what the community wants, thorough understanding, and nurture both similarities and diverse perspectives. As you can see in some of the council meetings, we have a lot of great feedback on what we want in our strategic plan. We want to seek a focus area of importance, improve, and innovate. And then obviously the last is we want to be together, and we want to sort of excel as a community. And we can't excel as a community if we make a strategic plan in a vacuum and not get a lot of feedback from stakeholders as you all are. Real quick overview of our current strategic plan. It was first adopted in, I think it was July 21st of 2021. It ran through 2024. So we're currently going through the process of updating it. We have, obviously, like I said, really kind of reached out to a lot of people. There's an organizational level plan, which is the Connect Morrisville, which has been out for some time. There's 6 goals and a lot of objectives and initiatives, and then sort of There's been a lot of business plans developed by the departments on how we support that. Currently, we're redoing a lot of that, where a lot of the departments are developing operational or business plans, and what that means is data metrics that they're developing internally that can support the overarching Connect Morrisville. Council has made it a very important priority that we come up with outcome measurements, not output measurements. So departments are really looking at ways that we can measure how well we provide the services to the community. An example would be, I used to work in the fire department, so we would run 4,000 calls a year. That doesn't say how well we did on the calls, it just says how many we ran. We're trying to come up with metrics to say how well we did on those calls, how well planning engages with the community when it comes to doing inspection, like, applying the UDO, or, how the inspections does with turning over inspections, police crime statistics, stuff like that. So that's currently also going on internally, where the departments are coming up with metrics to support a Connect Morrisville plan. So you have that overarching goals, the 6 goals that we have, and we'll get into those a little bit. And then you have the objectives that the town has come up with to support those. And then the departments come up with ways that we can also support those objectives. So there's that fluidness. So everybody in the organization are making decisions in a circular manner, so that everybody is like supporting the 6 initiatives that the 6 goals that the town has come up with. Simultaneously, as I said, we're doing in-person sessions just like this to sort of get kind of what you all want back. So this is where the fun part comes. And I told you this is going to be easy but important. We're going to ask you to put a star and a smiley face on these 16 initiatives. So one of the things that we want you to do, though, is, since a lot of individuals that stakeholders like you, pretty much you almost have 2 roles in the community, where you have a personal role, but you also have, being on the Planning and Zoning Board, sort of a community kind of role where it's different than your personal role. So we wanted everybody to have the opportunity to potentially divide those initiatives, where you might have a personal one, but as your official capacity on the PZB, it doesn't conflict, but there might be a difference of how you take that on. So we wanted everybody to potentially have 2. So we want you to put a star on what's important to you, and then we can put a smiley face on what's important to you as your role in your community. And that might be a little bit difficult because you only get one of each, and there's 16 of them. And a lot of those on there are you could put stars on half of them, or more. So while it's a little bit difficult, it's on purpose, because we really want people to think through exactly what is important to you. And I'm going to go through your activities real quick, because I tried to do these individually with some of the other committees, and they got a little bit there. It was easier for them, so I'm just going to go through each one. So then what we're going to do next, or you all are going to do, is, as I mentioned, the town's current Connect Morrisville strategic plan has 6 goals. And we're just going to ask you to number them, what's most important to you, 1 through 6. You can put that in the, like to the left of where the colored boxes are. Pretty easy, you just write down 1 through 6, that's it. And then we're going to ask you, did you know how, and kind of, I mentioned this already, how the town's current strategic plan, the Connect Morrisville strategic plan, is integrated into a lot of the things we currently do in town. And you can see on there, did you know that every agenda item is supported by a Connect Morrisville goal? The annual operating budget has a significant, it's interlaced with our Connect Morrisville strategic plan. And then, did you know that the town council discussed that advisory parties reflected to the community? Like, so these are things that we would like you to know, did you know that or not? And I'm gonna expand on that a little bit outside of these 3 questions. We actually do a really good job. We used to have, for an example, an employee, when we used to do employee evaluation, we used to give them goals that they personally had to work on, and every single one of them had to be supported by a town strategic plan goal. And so that was the integration that we had. So, but real quick, I'm going to ask you to say, do you guys know that we currently integrate our strategic plan into those? And you can say yes or no. I would say we are a little surprised based on the feedback we're currently getting, that we got more no's than we thought we would, which is a really good, I wouldn't say blind spot for us, but maybe we need to do a better job of telling everybody how the Connect Morrisville strategic plan is integrated in everything that we do. And then just a couple, and then you're going to ask on the last one just some demographic information. So then I will want you. Is 5 to 7 minutes okay? Do you think I can do it in 5 to 7? And then we'll talk about the last slide at the end. Okay.
So just fill these out amongst
Just fill
ourselves.
them out,
and then
yeah.
go. Okay.
And you can eat the candy along the way.
What does the candy have to do with?
It's motivation, inspiration,
Okay, I'm sorry, I thought I was missing a part.
bribing. I mean, I don't know if I should say bribing on the record, but I just did, so.
So just to be clear, we're to put one star somewhere
star.
and one smiley face somewhere.
Yep. And the star is your personal one, and the smiley face is your role in the community. Just real quick, I've done this quite a few times, and nobody's asked me the integration with candy, so thank you for that.
Can I ask you? a
Yes,
question?
please.
Transportation, what do you mean on transportation?
So we have, good question, and I was waiting to see if that was asked instead of getting ahead of it. We really kind of allowed individuals to make transportation based on what they personally think. So transportation, generally what people are thinking is just your network, your integration of the road network in town, inside town. If you find that it's something out of that, like maybe the bus system that we have here internally, you can write that down. So if it's something outside of what normally people would think about, we would like you just to put a little bit of a mark that says transportation to me means. So, real quick, next steps, and then I went over that really quickly. And what I would like to do a little bit at the end is if you have any questions about anything I went over or where the town is going with our current strategic plan. As I mentioned, the organization, really the departments, every department in town is coming up with their operational plan. As I said, that's 3 to 5 sort of outcome type of metrics that they're going to produce internally so that they can support the organization overall plan. Council has also requested to the manager more data metrics that can be provided publicly. So we're working on ways that we could have some sort of dashboards or some live sort of stream where this can be updated real time for anybody to go on and take a look at. We're going to continue to meet with the advisory committees and boards. Tonight we have 2 of them. We have one more after tonight, and then we're going to compile and synthesize all that information and put it into some sort of forward-facing document. It's also going to be shared with council so that they are aware of what their advisory boards have recommended and said. And then we'll kind of have a couple more meetings with council to finalize what the next strategic plan looks like. And that will hopefully be adopted around the June 10th council meeting. There is kind of, I would say, holistically an idea that they're going to not drastically change the current strategic plan. They have a couple more conversations to go to get there, but they currently are kind of thinking that it's going to be the case. So yeah, and then there'll be an adoption on June 10th. And then all of this information will be shared, obviously, with the public so that everybody can see what feedback and engagement we have received. With that, do you have any questions?
I don't. Anyone else?
You know, I've been in front of you twice, and neither times you asked a whole lot of questions, so I think I'm going to just leave while I'm
Doing a good job.
I'm ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On to item 6. Do we have anyone here to make a public comment that's not part of the presentation that follows? I see no one, so we can move ahead to number 8.
I remind everybody to speak into the microphones. I know they're new, but you can move them a little bit.
Yes, yes. I just want to make sure the distance and yeah.
Good evening, Chairman Langston, Planning and Zoning Board members. Josh Michael, Planner 2 with Town of Morrisville. This item tonight is 2025-149-0. It's consideration of items to amend the zoning map for 1100 Perimeter Park to the conditional office and institutional zoning district. I'll give a brief presentation and then the applicant will give a presentation and then we'll be happy to take any questions. So the applicant request is to amend the zoning map to conditional office and institutional. The applicant is NR Perimeter's Edge LP. The current zoning is corridor commercial and the current land use is office. The proposed use is going to be for office and research laboratory and the approximate site acreage is 9.38 acres. Again, a little bit of property information. The property owner and petitioner is NR Perimeter's Edge LP. The Wake County PIN is 0756152256. The land use plan designation is general commercial. The current zoning is corridor commercial, and it is inside the corporate limits. Some background on the surrounding area. To the north, you have office, institutional, and corridor commercials. That's 7-Eleven gas station. To the east, we have office and institutional and corridor commercial, offices and vacant lands. To the south, office and institutional and corridor commercial with some restaurants and retail along Jerusalem Drive. And to the west, office and institutional, research, laboratory, and offices. The 2021 future land use map designates this as general commercial. And a little bit about the project profile. This request is intended solely to allow for the inclusion of research lab use within the existing zoning. There are currently no improvements planned for the building or site, and as such, the nonconformity clause is not anticipated to be triggered by this rezoning. If these triggers are met in the future, of course, the upgrades will be required, and that'll be consistent with the UDO requirements. Sketch plan of the existing building as it stands today. And the applicant did include some conditions, which includes a building height max, as well as limiting some uses on the property. Staff recommends approval of the requested zoning map amendment from corridor commercial to conditional office and institutional for the following reasons. One, the proposed conditional office and institutional zoning district is compatible with surrounding zoning districts. Two, the requested zoning map amendment would allow for development that is compatible with the developments in the surrounding area, thereby resulting in a logical and orderly development pattern. Three, provides a broad spectrum of local and regional employment that offers economic development opportunities. And four, the rezoning is consistent with the vision and goal of the land use plan of promoting fiscally responsible development by strategically managing and promoting development that is fiscally responsible and reflects the needs of residents, local businesses, and employers.
Do I just do the mouse to scroll it? Okay. Thanks. All right. Good evening, Chairman Langston and members of Planning and Zoning Board. My name is Walker Abbott, and I'm with Parker Poe at 301 Fayetteville Street. I'm joined by my colleague Jamie Schwabler, and we are here on behalf of the applicant, Nuveen Real Estate, also known as NR Perimeter's Edge Real Estate. This rezoning is a straightforward request to expand the permitted uses within an existing building, to increase flexibility in a challenging office market, and reduce vacancy to achieve the highest and best use of the existing development and attract a diverse and innovative tenants to Morrisville. We appreciate staff's hard work on this case and their great presentation, so I'll just quickly give an overview of the case and the site. It's at 1100 Perimeter Park Drive, just over 9 acres, and it has an existing building that is mostly office use currently. It's currently zoned corridor commercial and is just south of the I-40-540 intersection. We'll take a little bit closer look at the existing building, which is known as the Perimeter's Edge office building. It was built in 1989 and is just about 85,000 square feet. The building is in good condition. It's got a lot of life left, so the applicant is not seeking redevelopment at this time, but instead is looking for a creative solution to prevent vacancy in the post-COVID office environment and respond to demand for possible research lab in the area. This rezoning is supported by the future land use map. The site, as you can see with the yellow star in the red, is designated general commercial, which includes commercial centers that provide a variety of goods and services. Preferred uses do include office and institutional. And then immediately adjacent to the west in blue is the office designation, which includes local and regional employment centers with preferred uses including research and development, emerging technology, and life sciences. So taking this guidance into account, we looked for a zoning district that is consistent with the future land use map designation of general commercial, but also provides sort of a transition to that office designation immediately to the west in blue. So we are requesting to rezone this site to office and institutional with conditions. The OI designation will permit research laboratory and also retain the office, institutional, and neighborhood services that are currently permitted with the zoning on site. However, I just want to clarify, research lab is not the only use. We still anticipate keeping some of the current tenants and having office as well. But again, just trying to expand options and prevent vacancy. The O&I district also permits a lot of the same commercial uses that are permitted under the current zoning and envisioned by the flume, which includes restaurants and service establishments. But O&I will remove some potentially undesirable uses that are permitted under the current zoning, which include automobile repair, sales, and service station. The zoning conditions go another step further and prohibit additional uses that may not be consistent with the visions set forth in the land use plan. And those prohibited uses include sports academy, bus station, indoor kennel, and cemetery. Here's a closer look at those conditions, which limit the building height to 50 feet and require conformity with the application that we've submitted to the town. And then here's a closer look at those uses that are prohibited. You won't see, because this is a rezoning to expand uses, you're not going to see conditions on traffic or right of way or connectivity, because it's not applicable here since the site is not being redeveloped. Those items would be addressed at site plan if the site were ever to be redeveloped and the site were to be brought into conformity with the current UDO, but that would again happen if it were to be redeveloped down the road. There also are no transportation conditions, or, as you probably have noticed, there was not a TIA done with this zoning, and that's because it involves a change of use with no anticipated increase in traffic generation compared to the current use. A TIA was not triggered under the UDO thresholds, and we reviewed this with staff, and we deemed that no additional analysis was necessary. Here are a few consistent policies. This request is consistent with the land use plan as noted on page 1 of the staff report. And I've highlighted a few on the slide here, but I wanted to note that this aligns with one of the land use plan key considerations for land availability, and that is to carefully steer infill development in a way that minimizes impacts on surrounding uses and does not overburden critical infrastructure. This rezoning achieves that infill development goal. It does not impact surrounding uses. It does not expand the development footprint, but it also promotes the economic development policies that are on the slide by attracting diverse businesses in an existing site. This case provides the opportunity to unlock this property's highest and best use now and in the future by permitting a range of innovative office and research tenants in the current building and then retaining neighborhood services for any future development on site. For those reasons, we respectfully request that you recommend to approve this rezoning case, and we are available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So do we have any questions, Sushma?
One question I have is, what kind of research lab, that would be? Whether those are like, the biotech lab or medical facility research lab? Any idea what kind of research lab that would be?
We don't have specifics nailed down, just because since this hasn't been a permitted use on the property, that's just not quite been, the owner has not been able to necessarily approach those types of tenants, but there is currently a pharmaceutical tenant in the building right now that's an office use, but maybe potentially what you've mentioned, biotech or pharmaceutical type tenants that would fall within the scope of the research laboratory. But it would not include biomanufacturing, just to clarify.
Nothing, thank you.
I think it's a good area.
Ken?
Just one or two questions.
Your mic is not picking up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I realize if you hit the red button, it'll actually skip the delay.
There
So
you go.
if you wanted to do that.
How many tenants are currently in the building?
There are currently 6 in the building.
And how is it designed? Like, how many can it hold at full occupancy?
Yeah, so went back out again.
I think maybe, I don't know the exact number of spaces, but right now there are 6 tenants and it's at about 18% vacant. So I think probably depending on what a future tenant might want, you could have maybe 1 or 2 more.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Very logical, no questions.
You talked about neighborhood services, and one of the things that I thought about as you mentioned that, because you're requesting not to have bus station on the site, what about a bus stop in the vicinity of that building?
Do you mean, is there one currently, or would there be
Should
one?
one come? I don't think there's one currently, but should the transportation map and design end up with one in that area, how amenable would you be to having a bus stop along that building?
Given that there's not redevelopment proposed at this time, we're not doing any transportation improvements. I don't know if.
I don't think you would need transportation improvements because we're not talking adding anything to the building, but having a bus, should the Morrisville Transit bus come up and there is a bus stop somewhere in that area, would you be amenable to that?
I can answer that question partially. Is this mic on, bro? Yeah, great. So right now we do have the microtransit smart shuttle. We don't have a fixed route bus, so that is certainly, we are always looking at new nodes. Our transportation planner, Caleb Allred, would probably be the best person to ask that question to. But the town and staff are always looking at increasing the nodes or, I guess, being mindful of where new nodes could replace the existing nodes.
I mean, it feels like within Perimeter Park, there's room for a bus stop if you wanted to put one in there. I'm just looking at the map, I mean, there's a lot, yeah. But I don't really think I have any questions. What is the difference between a sports academy and sports training indoor? I mean,
That's a good
that's the
question.
only question. It has nothing to do with this, but I just, in reading through the conditions, I was like, what? Yeah.
Actually don't have, I can pull up the UDO right
No,
now.
I mean, it's fine. I guess I could look if I wanted to.
Might be a fun
I'll do that when I get home.
Sure you don't want to go through the exercise?
Chairman?
No reason to delay everybody just for, interesting. So any other questions? So if that's the case,
I've got one.
okay, sure.
Josh, you mentioned the non-conformity clause.
Yes, sir.
You probably know what it is. But can you explain it?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is, as Walker alluded to, there's three different, I guess pertinent to this site, there would be two non-conforming clauses that can be triggered with redevelopment. One is if an application is filed for a building permit and the remodeling exceeds the past 5-year period of improvements to the building. So for example, this building is valued at approximately $14.5 million. So in order to trigger the non-conforming clause to get them up to trigger those UDO and improve the site features, they would need to do about $7.25 million in improvements. Currently, and that's over the past 5 years. So currently, in the past 5 years, we did staff rate analysis, and it was about $1.5 million in improvements over the past 5 years. So they're not coming very close to that number. The other one is same thing for if the cumulative increase in the structure's floor area over the past 5 year period exceeds 50% of the current floor area, that also triggers that non-conforming clause. There's an outdoor storage clause as well, but that's not really pertinent to the site at this stage.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? So if that's the case, is anyone willing to make a motion to approve or deny this?
I'll make a motion. I make a motion to approve ordinance 2025-1490 of the Morrisville Town Council approving a zoning map amendment for 1100 Perimeter Park Drive, a property located at the intersection of Perimeter Park Drive and Airport Boulevard, to the conditional office and institutional zoning district REZ 240017.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Did you get that? Okay. All in favor? All right. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we have just enough time to squeeze in some
Sorry,
staff
just
comment.
really quick, and I know we just voted on that last item, but I wanted to make sure there wasn't any public comment.
Oh, My apologies, yes. Forgot that was something for public. Do we have anyone here that wanted to give a public comment about that item? No, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. Oh, I'm sorry. I think we can squeeze the public comments in now.
I'll jump into the April 2025 planning newsletter. A bit of activity going on right now. So in terms of new development applications that have been submitted, we do have a site and construction plan application in for 1200 Perimeter Park Drive to install a new 22-space EV parking lot. We also have a site and construction plan application in for 101 Waldron Court. That is for K9 Resorts. And the town is working on the Sawmill Creek project. That is a stormwater facility improvement project as well as a greenway project back behind the park of Town Center Townhomes there off of Church Street. So all of those applications are currently in review. At their last meeting, Town Council did also approve the master sign plan for Pathway Triangle. That application was previously before this board and recommended for approval. And then in other news, I'm pleased to share that we have filled the vacant transportation project manager position. So Brett Martin started with us on March 31st. You'll probably be seeing him at some upcoming meetings. That brings us back to 2 staff in the transportation division. He comes to us with prior experience, particularly with Campo, also the FTA and some other areas. So he's been able to hit the ground running. Also, with that position now filled, an RFQ has gone out for the update of the comprehensive transportation plan. That was an initiative that was approved for this year's budget, so we're happy to be able to get the ball rolling on that one. And we have proposals for that due in here just tomorrow on May 9th. So that is not anticipated to be necessarily a full update of the comprehensive transportation plan. But we are going to be looking at kind of new and emerging trends, making sure that those are incorporated, looking at all the regional transportation planning that is going on and making sure that the town's comprehensive transportation plan is continuing to align appropriately with those. We will be taking some looks at some of our road cross sections to try and provide some additional clarity there. Right now, some roads could have 2 or 3 alternatives that could be implemented. We want to simplify that to provide better clarity to everyone. So just a few of the things that we're going to be looking at, but again, that transportation plan is a multimodal plan, so that includes your roads, that includes your multi-use paths, your greenways. So excited to be getting that started and kicked off. And PZB will be involved in that as we go through that process. It's anticipated to take over a year to complete, so just getting started with that. The other major project that we have going on, again, in the transportation field is the alternative transit study has kicked off. So that is the study that is evaluating the Morrisville Smart Shuttle. That service has now been up and running for a few years, and this is an opportunity to take a look at what's working well and what we might want to adjust. Also taking a look at do we want to keep the current service model? Do we want to keep it on demand? Do we want to do something hybrid? Do we want to do something fixed route? So we will be at Springfest doing engagement on that. There'll be other engagement opportunities right around the corner, so stay on the lookout for that. That study is anticipated to be wrapped up by the end of the year. And that is all I have.
Thank you. Do we have any comments from the board, Esther?
next month's meeting. I apologize now.
Okay. So, did you get some? Yeah. Advance notice, thank you. Rick and Sherman. Okay, if that's the case, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Did you hear that? Okay. 10 second, all in favor? Aye. We are adjourned, thank you very much.